Have you ever noticed that The Sound of Music has two endings? There's this moment, but there's also this earlier moment where Maria and the captain finally get married. Maria is marching down the aisle at the Abbey to her deeply inappropriate wedding march. I mean, come on, y'all. You couldn't have changed the lyrics for this girl's wedding? Okay, anyway. They get married, and they live happily ever after, or so we'd hoped. When my brothers and sisters and I used to watch this film growing up, the movie was essentially over for us at this point. We would wander around and let the rest of that yucky stuff play out, but as far as we were concerned, all the good plot points, all the good dialogue, all the good songs were over by then. This was a rehash.
When you're 16, going on 17.
So was this.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night.
And even this.
Edelweiss, Edelweiss.
In our minds, everything sort of went downhill after the wedding, and it was no longer the happy-go-lucky film about a nun teaching the precocious children of a naval captain how to sing in the round. After the wedding, the film got kind of depressing. It took me watching the film many more times as a teenager and a young adult to appreciate the political message of this film. Of course, all the stuff that happened after the wedding that we simply thought of as depressing was in fact an event known as the Anschluss, or the annexation of the federal state of Austria into Nazi Germany on the 12th of March, 1938. When someone asks me why I decided to pursue a degree in German studies, I usually tell them it's because I watched The Sound of Music one too many times, and I'm only half joking. Watching this film really got me interested in the history and the culture and the language of that region of the world. I just never knew the film's lessons would eventually have such significance in my own life. That sickening feeling that came over the captain when he got back from his honeymoon to find the Nazi flag hanging outside of his home was something that I never thought that I'd be able to identify with. The idea of waltzing in fancy ballrooms while watching your homeland be slowly consumed by zealots and loyalists seemed like something that could only happen in movies or faraway lands. Neighbors being encouraged to rat each other out to the regime was surely nothing that I would have expected to see play out before my own eyes. People you thought you knew slowly morphing into cartoon versions of themselves, completely sold out to some lofty ideal of national supremacy and manifest destiny, just didn't feel like a future that was at all on the table for me. To this day, I think the film's primary moral lessons are lost on a lot of people. Maybe the thing that finally made me stop cutting off that film at its first ending was when I realized that the boring part of the film contained a multitude of cautionary examples. At some point, you start to realize that if you're not paying attention, any society could eventually be at risk of falling prey to authoritarian rule. Watching their society slowly crumble, I could never figure out what had bewitched those people. What made them attend choral competitions and claim to be apolitical and mindlessly bask in all their wealth while their country was being overtaken by such a malevolent force? Even living through it now, I can't figure it out. There will be those that scoff at the drawing of these parallels even as we watch autocratic rule take root in the US. They'll be in the comments of this very video, I guarantee it, working those opposable thumbs just as hard as they can to try to convince us that we are not seeing exactly what we know we are seeing. They'll watch The Sound of Music and they'll sing the songs and quote the lines and maybe even shed a few tears. And then when their preferred ending comes and the depressing part starts, they'll choose not to take in the lessons of that time. And they won't consider the roles that they will eventually play in our American-made Anschluss. Will they play the Uncle Max, who claimed to have no political affiliation and who did his best to remain neutral in troubled times to protect his financial interests? Will they play the confidant and secret agent Franz, who rats out his family and friends to the authorities? Or will they play the role of Rolf, whose heart once shone so bright, but who allowed it to cool into a stony mass and betrayed the one he loved to win the approval of his overlords? There was a point where I would have given anything to be Fräulein Maria spinning and singing in the Alps. That film still casts a spell on me all these years later. I did the Sound of Music tour in Salzburg, Austria earlier this year. Highly recommended. I even au paired in Switzerland right out of college. It was supposed to be Austria, but my assignment changed at the last minute. It's no exaggeration to say that the magic and the beauty of the Sound of Music have changed my life. But I never want to turn a blind eye to the deeper lessons that film has always carried. Over the years, I've learned to love that film in its entirety, even the depressing parts. For me, there can only be one ending now, the one that illustrates what it means to respond to despotism with courage, the one that shows what it looks like when you're called upon to sacrifice all the things that you hold dear to stand on the right side of history. The ending that reminds me that refusing to bow to extremism can create untold isolation and uncertainty. That final stanza of The Sound of Music's title track, I go to the hills when my heart is lonely, seems to almost summon a biblical dictum for me. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills from whence cometh my help. If you know, you know. That feels like a bit of where we are in this American story right now, searching for that reassurance that our very souls will be preserved through this ideological Anschluss. And I find myself coping with these uncertain times in much the way that Fräulein Maria did all those years ago, with music. Sometimes delving deeply into the catalogs of my musical heroes, and sometimes making a bit of music of my own. But at each uncertain turn, I find new hope, renewed assurance that, like Maria herself, I will find a way to navigate these uncertain times with the courage of my convictions, carrying with me the songs of both resistance and rest. And if I should grow weary, if I should lose faith, my heart will be blessed with the sound of music, and I'll sing once more. My newest single, My Favorite Things, is a tribute to one of my favorite films, The Sound of Music. I'm hoping it helps you cope in these troubled times.